Let's now do something completely different. For this, I have Tammy and Randy joining me again, and they're going to be doing lots of mixing of these cards. I have to get rid of any jokers that are there. That's important. I'll have, here, Tammy, each take about half the cards and give them a good mix. Now, not to your heart's content. We saw what happened the last time that happened. Okay, great. Now, what I'm going to ask you each to do is to lift about half of your cards and place them next to the pile, just like that. Great. Now, I'm going to further mix these cards, I'm going to take these cards, I'm going to turn them face up on your pile. I'm going to take these cards, take them face up on your pile. I'm going to give the cards a good mix so that the face up and face down cards are well mixed on both sides here. Okay? Now do that again. I'll ask you to lift about half your cards. All right? And yeah, place them there just like so. Again, I'll put about half the cards here, about half the cards there. Here, this time you mix. Just go and mix up the cards, give them a good mixing. And place the cards back down on the table when you're satisfied. Great. I'm going to do one last shuffling of these cards. Shuffle the cards together like so the cards are fully and thoroughly mixed. Now, what I'm going to try and do now is to memorize these cards. Now, I know some performers who can go through an entire deck of cards and memorize the order. I'm not there yet, but I'm going to try and do something that's almost as difficult. I'm going to look through these cards and I'm going to try and memorize half the cards. I'm going to try and remember which cards are face up and therefore by negation, which cards are not, which are the face down cards. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to ask you now to each of you take the cards. Tammy, you have the face-up cards. Those are the cards I've memorized. Randy, you've got the cards I haven't seen yet. I'm going to ask you to sort the cards, put all the suits together. So put all the spades together, do those first, then get the hearts together, the clubs together, and the diamonds together. And I'm going to try not to look at your cards while you do this, because I've only seen them once. And let me know when your cards are sorted. At least let me know when your spades are together, because that's what I'm going to try and get first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to say a card, and I'll point to the person that I think has it. And if I'm right, just drop that card on the table face up, okay? If I'm wrong, let me know, and I'll try and correct myself. So starting with the ace of spades, which Tammy, I think you have, right? I remember seeing the ace of spades. Randy, you have the two of spades and the three of spades, right?
Yes.
Good. Tammy, I think I see the 4, the 5, and the 6 of spades.
You're right.
Yes, good. But you've got the 7 and the 8.
Yes.
9.
Yes.
10. Jack.
Yep.
Queen, king.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. All right, is that so far so good? Spades,
Yes.
all right?
Yes.
All right, let's do, what suit would you like next?
Diamonds?
Diamonds? Okay, diamonds. Randy, you have the ace of diamonds, right?
Yes.
Okay. Tammy, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not hearing a card. Did I was it right?
Yes,
You have the 6
yes.
of diamonds? Okay. Sometimes the 6 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, they confuse me. Okay. 7, 8. You also have the 9 and the 10. Jack, queen, king.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Okay. Tammy, what would you like next? We've got hearts and clubs.
Let's go with hearts.
Hearts, okay. Ace of hearts.
Wow.
2 of hearts, 3 of hearts, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King. Okay, all these clubs, let's try and do these quickly. We got ace,
Yes.
2, 3, sorry, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was. Whew. Now, I know people who can perform what you just saw without any trickery. The way they do it is each card is associated with a different person, place, or thing. And as they go through each card, they imagine each object being damaged in some way. For example, the ace of spades, the spade ace, might be represented by Santa. And you might picture Santa falling off his sleigh. Then as you go through the deck, you think of each object and try to remember if it was damaged or absent. Luckily for you, you don't have to do any of that, and I didn't either, since there's a sneaky magic alternative, which is what I actually did. And here's how it goes. Now, believe it or not, despite all of the shuffling, cutting, flipping, and transferring of cards, I knew exactly where all the cards would end up. This is sort of like the 4 aces trick on steroids. As we'll see, the cards that Randy and Tammy end up with are exactly the same cards that they started with. Okay, so these 24 cards began at the bottom of the deck. And I placed a joker separating Tammy's cards from Randy's cards. Okay, I said, oh, here, let's get rid of the joker here. And I said, here, Tammy, you take these cards. Randy, you take those cards. All right, so these are the 24 cards that I have memorized, the ones that went to Tammy. Now, I chose those cards to make them easy to remember. And once I tell you the pattern, I think you'll never forget them. Okay, so let's start with the spades, because that might be the trickiest. I wanted the pointing back and forth to look pretty random and dramatic, especially at the beginning when I take things slowly. Okay, so here are the spades. What makes this easy to remember is that it's physical. Just remember 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. The first person drops 1 card, the ace. The next person drops 2 cards, that's the 2 and the 3. Then I point to the first person again, who drops 3 cards, 4, 5, and 6 of spades. Then I go back to the next person who drops 2 cards, the 7 and 8 of spades, and then back to 1 card to the person on my right for the 9 of spades. Then I just alternate back and forth, 10, Jack, Queen, and King. It looks very random and dramatic. Okay, now the hearts, ace, 4, 8, 9, and queen. For the hearts, I love numbers that are perfect squares and perfect cubes. And who can resist the Queen of Hearts? So I chose to memorize the ace, which is 1, my perfect squares and cubes, that's 4, 8, and 9, and also the supposedly loveliest of cards, the Queen of Hearts. So as I'm running through the hearts, if it's one of the cards that I love, then I point to Tammy. If it's anything else, I point to Randy. Okay, next, the diamonds are the prime ones, and that almost rhymes, right? So the prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, that's Jack, and 13, that's King. Oh, by the way, the number 1 is technically not a prime number, so that's why it went to Randy. You could put it on the list and give it to Tammy, but then the same person would have all 4 aces, and I prefer to avoid that. And besides, 1 is not a prime number by mathematician standards. Okay, and then the clubs. The ace, 2, 3, 5, 8, and king. Do you recognize those numbers? For the clubs, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 13, these are the famous Fibonacci numbers, right? 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, 5 plus 8 is 13, or as I like to say it, 2, 3, 5, 8, who do we appreciate? Fibonacci. By the way, excuse my enthusiasm, I happen to be the president of the Fibonacci Association, which studies amazing properties of these numbers. I think of it as a big Fibonacci club, so that's why the clubs are so easy for me to remember. Now, you should feel free to modify the list of memorized cards however you'd like. I just gave you the ones that work for me. Whatever will make it easiest for you to remember is what you should use. Okay, so now that you've memorized all the suits, how do we know they're all going to end back together? So initially, all the memorized cards are face down on my right with Tammy, and all the other cards are face down on my left with Randy. Now remember, every time we move a pile from one side to the other, right? They lifted the cards and cut them. And when I brought the cards from one pile to the other, we turn it over. That's important. Here, let's watch the journey of the ace of spades, okay? That starts with Tammy on my right. Now, it starts face down on my right. And if after shuffling it stays there, then it will still be face down on my right. But if we move it, then it becomes face up on my left. And it'll stay there face up on my left unless it gets moved back, and then it would be face down on my right. In other words, no matter how much transferring of cards we do, the ace of spades will either be face down on my right or face up on my left. So when the process finishes, the ace of spades, and indeed all the cards that I've memorized, will either be face down on my right or face up on my left. Okay? So here's a picture of our situation. Now comes the sneaky part. I perform one secret move. Remember when I brought the cards together and I gave them a big riffle shuffle? Before I give that final riffle shuffle, I turn the right pile upside down. I turn it over. Okay? You maybe didn't catch me doing it, but I did. And now look what happens. Our situation goes from this to this. Now, all of my memorized cards are face up on the right or face up on the left. In other words, the memorized cards are face up everywhere. And by the same logic, the unmemorized cards are face down everywhere. So now when I separate the face up and face down cards, pretending to memorize them, and I give all those face up cards to Tammy and the face down cards to Randy, everyone gets the cards that they started with. The rest is just acting.